Well, recently we did a video, it was actually a short, that talked about this tree. This tree has 3 crops on it. We have emerging, well, very young bloom, we have little fruit, and then we have some pretty substantially sized fruit. And this, of course, is Julie mango, and this is sort of a common situation for Julie mango, especially this year. But after we published that short, we started looking around and finding some other examples of trees with multiple crops. So we thought we would show you those right now. Right here is a complicated area because I have a lot of varieties growing in this one very small space. But right here is Nilum, and Nilum is a very nice late variety. It doesn't look like some of these fruit are late. Nilum is a small but very tasty fruit, and the tree can be very small too. But this is pretty big for a Nilum fruit. And then we have, like smaller fruit of Nilum here. And one of the panicles up here is Nilum. We have Coggeshall right next door, and it's sending stuff over into Nilum territory. But we definitely have Nilum flowers, young fruit, and fairly mature fruit. So here is our Venus tree, and it has a crazy amount of fruit. Just unbelievable. Of course it's not going to be able to hold all of this fruit to maturity, but it has a lot to work with right now. We have fruit at different stages, a little bit smaller here. We've got anything that's yellow is at the top is going to drop off. But over here we have one branch that set fruit very early, so the mangoes are much bigger there. And then not very far away we have our youngest mangoes on the tree. These are less than pea-sized. So lots of fruit, and it looks like a long season for this particular tree. Here is Rosa. Rosa is just a crazy productive tree, and of course we have lots of mangoes, and they actually are in lots of different sizes. We have some very small fruit here, and then over here we have fruit that is pretty much full size. So this might be the first mango variety that produces full-size fruit for the season. And then it has a long season after that, because lots and lots of small fruit. And over here we even have flowers. So very long and productive year for Rosa. So we have several varieties in the grove that look like this. Lots of fruit and some nice young flowers too. So this happens to be Sweetart, but as I said, it's a lot of varieties where we have flowers and small fruit. So this seems to happen every year. Dwarf Hawaiian just is a crazy producer, has multiple crops. We have some very fresh flowers, we have small fruit, and then in some places we have fruit that's pretty darn big. That's not much smaller than a full-size Dwarf Hawaiian. So many crops on our Dwarf Hawaiian trees, and it's looking good. This is one of our Doc Mai trees, and this is sort of crazy. We've got a lot of young fruit, very small fruit on the top of the tree. We've got some, well, about this size fruit in different places. So that's the next crop. And then same crop here, but look at here. This fruit is almost full size. So Doc Mai just flowered several times and set a lot of fruit. Of course, a lot of this small fruit is not going to make it. It can only support a few fruit per panicle. So Doc Mai is really looking good for this year. And finally, we have Rosy Gold. Now, this fruit is almost full-sized. And then on the same tree, we have flowers and lots of young fruit. So we've been seeing 2 and 3 crops on many of the varieties, and the reason for this is basically the weather. We've had like several cool snaps during the winter, the late fall and winter, and it was enough to trigger the trees, or at least partially trigger some of the trees to bloom, and then we would get another cold snap or cool snap, and that would provide another trigger. So it depended on the variety of the mango and the location in the grove as to whether the cold snap or the cool snap would trigger the tree to bloom. So it's nice that we have a lot of bloom in general, but it didn't happen on all of the trees. Unfortunately, some of the trees barely got triggered at all. So it looks like a pretty good mango season, and the weather is just something that you can't do anything about. The main thing that you can do to protect the bloom in cool weather is, of course, to spray sulfur on the bloom. We were not able to do that this past season, so we could possibly have lost some potential mangoes because of that, but we do seem to have a lot of mangoes on some of our varieties.